Hey everyone, it's Failed Shot back with another video, and today I'm going to be going over the top 5 characters that turned out way better than I thought they were going to. Now, this doesn't mean that I thought they were going to be terrible, it just means that they turned out way past my expectations, whether or not I thought they were already good or very, very poor. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first one on our list is going to be Desmond, and this one probably isn't a surprise to a lot of you because I do tout that he's my favorite character in the game just from his aesthetic and the way he works. Now, originally when we first started playing this game, this was back in the first couple days of soft launch, he was pretty much basically said that it was the worst character in the entire game, and he did get some buffs since then, but actually I think that he was already underrated significantly beforehand before he got his buffs. Now obviously he's much more consistent and he does a ton of damage, but really what he's going to be doing is going to be basically sharing that plague across the entire enemy squad and chunking them for massive chunks of their current HP if they manage to stack a bunch of plague up. I still see people to this day talking about how Desmond is garbage and one of the worst legendaries in the game. I don't think that's true at all. I think that he has a very niche spot, but very, very good in that niche. I think that when you run him into the dungeons and he's going to be chunking those dungeons for half of their HP because he stacks so much plague, he can be very, very useful there. And also one of the best components of the tank comp, if you're running low on damage or you can't use that Cyrus to burst through waves, you can absolutely run Desmond here and just slowly churn your way through. He unlocks certain things that a lot of other characters don't because his kit is so unique. So definitely one that deserves to be on this list. Next one is going to be Yolanda. Actually, this is someone that I've been using so much so recently. Now, she did receive a buff kind of recently, and before that, I did not really see a place for her at all. But actually, I think that even before her buff, and her main buff is that she got a bonus turn on this second skill from previous. Now you actually get that bonus turn, kind of like Mary at the end of the turn. But even before that, I think that she was a little underrated. She definitely could have slotted in a lot of Void Tower compositions just for that attack up to buff, as well as having that AoE shield is super nice. She did get that crit resistance buff on the shield as well. But I think even, as I said, before all these buffs, she's a little underrated. She's used in Queen. I use her all the time in Queen, in Arena, in Void Tower recently, actually. So she's definitely a huge staple in all of my squads now, and definitely I think a little underrated under a lot of people's eyes still. I think she's absolutely must have from the Guild Vault shop now, especially since her buff. If you're going to go ahead and buy something from the Guild shop, I definitely recommend that you save for Yolanda here. Now, the next one up is going to be an epic here, and this one has kind of secretly crept up on my list more and more. I find that I'm using him all the time in my dungeon runs. Now, most people really just, okay, we have Virgil, we're going to be using him for that arena and maybe for Void Tower, just for that AoE silence to go ahead and lock people out of their skills. But actually, I have found that he's an actual dungeon monster. Now, he did get buffed again. Now, a lot of these characters on the list did get some buffs, so it basically kind of wanted me to kind of go ahead and build them out so that I could test them out. But I think even before the buff, again, I was trying to use them every once in a while in some dungeons, and really this chunking of 20% of max HP on this skill, as well as the dispel on basic, is actually massive. A lot of people don't really have dispels on basic, and this character can go ahead and just annihilate all those buffs on Queen, on Gemini, even though you can't really get a Gemini count without Guerrel, and other places. He's just been a monster for me in some dungeons, and definitely has earned my respect as one of the characters I love to build out. Now, the next one is going to be Guerrel here, and I don't think I'm super high on him still, but I do think that he turned out better than I thought he was going to. Initial testing, I didn't really find that he was dealing a ton of damage, etc. But I think that he has surpassed my kind of initial impressions in Arena. Now, I do think that Guerrel still kind of gets outclassed by Cyrus in some other areas like Tulpa, or not Tulpa, but Void Tower and things like that. But I think that Guerrel has really shown his prowess in Arena. And this has mainly come to the fact that the Arena meta has shifted where Urzag is oftentimes being used in offensive comps, and he is completely shutting down my comps, especially a really well geared one at the top of my arena with a lot of ascensions on him. He just absolutely smacks and is very hard to deal with overall with his counterattack coming in. But I do think that in order for you to be really scared of him, he needs that Ascension 5, because sometimes he can counterattack, get his rage to the max stacks, get a bonus turn, and then ult you, and somehow you're randomly dead from Guerrel, which does end up happening quite a bit in arena. So definitely number 4 on the list. And now we have number 5, and this one is kind of surprising because I actually thought Matheson was an excellent character already. And see, I actually took her as a rookie summon because I was kind of looking out, she had the only revive in the game, so I figured, okay, I'm going to run her because just in case, you know, revive becomes a really good staple. And I have just been using her more and more as I play the game. Now, a lot of people say, oh, the later in the game you go, you use her less and less. But actually, I think with the new Stage 14 dungeons, he's a perfect fit for the Queen 14 comp. If you don't have really excellent gear, she has become an arena staple on both offense and defense because I pair her with Urzag. She has become a great character for me to full auto large portions of the Void Tower. Now, this is super important because I cannot do it with Blackhorn and I cannot do it with Radira. Matheson is unique in that I run a damage dealer and then the damage dealer dies every once in a while and Matheson comes in clutch with that clutch revive and then allows me to continuously beat down the enemies. So this revive skill, although I think that a lot of people underrate this, saying that, you know, and there is some validity to it where if you are reviving somebody, you're already, you know, in the risk of already just losing because you have to revive them. They're at low HP, then the healing's on a little higher cooldown. And I do agree with that in some dungeons, but I think that more often than not in arena and Void Tower specifically, this revive is massive and unlocks the ability to full auto Void Tower hard. Not 100% the way through, but, you know, 80-90% of the stages, which is a super massive bonus because it takes hours and hours to manual Void Tower. So that's going to be the top 5 list. There are a few others that I could mention real quick here that I think are like honorable mentions, but not quite good enough, in my opinion, to make the list. Lunar Melissa. Now, I've been thinking Lunar Melissa has been great ever since I began the game. I thought she would be a good Void Tower character. I just never got around to building her because the tank comp was so prevalent at the beginning of the game. But she has become and keeps on coming back for arena, for Void Tower, and she's an absolute amazing character. But definitely someone I already rated quite highly, so I wouldn't say I was massively surprised by how good she actually is. Now, Mary actually is someone, and Zitlin is another one that I think has surpassed my expectations. Mary with the bonus turn, just getting that damage up in the bonus turn, she's become a nice staple for me with my Urzag comp. And obviously the cleanse on the passive has actually been a huge arena counter. Just randomly cleansing off the taunts from Lunar Melissa or the defense down is actually huge. And Zitlin, but not for the reason that many people actually think of Zitlin. And I plan on, you know, maybe showcasing this a little bit later. And I've been basically saying about how good this Zitlin passive is, but I've been using it and it has surpassed my expectations. 20% precision in an arena comp is massive. I've been running him with Urzag, and my Urzag is never getting deflected, pretty much against even the brands with high agility. But obviously the curse effect and all that stuff is good, but I think that people are underrating how good this passive is, including myself. Even though I knew that 20% precision was good, I just didn't realize how good that actually is, specifically for arena. So that's going to be my top 5 and a couple of honorable mentions that I have on this list. Let me know in the comments down below if you were surprised by any characters. I know a lot of people underrate Cyrus and then end up using her, and she turns out really excellent. But let me know what you all think, and if any of these characters you're still underrating and you haven't gotten a chance to try out. But that'll be it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.